What's going on, Liberty fans? Episode 2, the Sea of Red football podcast. That's right, I said episode 2. We didn't get canceled. We didn't get taken off the air. They didn't say that was a disaster. We're not doing that again. We're back. I'm joined with John Manson, all things the Sea of Red, Christian Taylor, CT, and I am Richie Longshots. Gentlemen, is my audio okay? Normally, I start with another question. I'm rocking the AirPods. I got some complaints from former producer 3000 that my audio was bad. Do I sound okay?
Sounding loud and clear on my side, Richie.
Yeah, I have more questions about your current environment in the bathroom, but I mean,
I'm not in the bathroom. It's a
okay. Heard.
Yeah, I could. Yeah, it's a shower curtain, not a shower curtain. That would be good for the audio. But more importantly, how we living this Monday night?
We're doing good, man. It's the middle of fall camp. School's starting back around here. I know up on the Jersey Shore, you guys wait till later, but school's starting back either this week or next week, depending on where you're at. And it's starting to feel like fall. Not quite as hot as it's been, so it's feeling like football.
Yeah, I think we're at that point kind of with college football where it's like, oh my gosh, we're actually within 2 weeks of week 0. And like you mentioned the weather. And you look at kind of all across any time there's any sort of training camp, you get those initial camp stories, and then you get – welcome back, CT. You get those initial camp stories, and now we're kind of in that middle of, all right, camp has been going on now. There's actually something to talk about. It's not, what are we going to see in camp? It's what are we seeing? And we spent a good chunk of time 2 weeks ago. We all got together. It was awesome. If you have not checked it out yet, we did a great deep dive talking about the offense, each position group. You check that out on Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, Twitter, all that good stuff. And we kind of want to shift it a little bit to talk a little bit about the defense. And the defense under Coach Chadwell over the last 2 years has been consistent. Third in the conference in scoring defense. Yes, if you read my tweet, you know that I did some research. I read some blogs. I crunched some numbers. And that was one of the things that I discovered. So consistency across the board. There's one stat that is a glaring difference from the Fiesta Bowl year to this year. And I'm sure we'll talk about that today. But, John, talk about the defense a little bit. Give us a wide lens view, and then we'll try to kind of get a little bit more narrow as we dig deeper.
Yeah, I mean, if you watched or read about Coach Chadwell's first press conference the first day of training camp a couple weeks back, he was talking about how he thinks this has a chance to be a dominant defense, the deepest defense in his time at Liberty and maybe in our time at the FBS level. So, when you start to peel back the onion a little bit, 7 starters return. We got a lot of transfers incoming from, P4 schools, other, guys that started at G5 schools. So we got a lot of depth. And as I started rolling out the position previews, with quarterbacks today and have, I think it's linebackers rolling out on Tuesday. I've written several of them. And as I'm starting to go through these position by position, of the defense. I'm just overwhelmed with the amount of depth that's here. Like it used to be for Liberty football, it's defense. You might have each position, you might have one or two guys. It's like, okay, this is a key player at this position. But I mean, you're going 3, 4, 5, maybe 6 guys deep that, I think that this coaching staff feels confident in them being able to get the job done. So, I think that's the key for this Liberty team, especially on the defensive side of the ball, is the depth. Being once you get into October, November, where injuries start to take a toll, where snap counts start to play in a factor. I think Liberty should be sitting well against Conference USA competition, just from the depth. Your average Conference USA team is not going to have the same depth pieces that Liberty does when you're getting to a second and third guy on the depth chart. So those are kind of my big picture takeaways on the defense.
Another thing as well, when you look at it, obviously we know Chadwell teams, as we talked about a couple weeks ago, they're known for the offense. But when I think about what we probably, most of us would agree, well, his best team not at Liberty was the 2020 Coastal team. And yes, we talked about their offense. We talked about the Grayson McCall and so on, but they would not have been the team that they were without that defense that they had. And that defense was dominant. So I think it's really exciting to get to see, as you mentioned, John, the depth that we have and everything else, because this is just an extra element that could really take this team forward. It's really exciting to see.
And I like when we say, hey, there's depth and there's 7 starters returning. And it's not like a situation where it's all the front 7 or it's sort of the linebackers and the D-backs. There really is returners at each of them. You look at the defense, the D-line, linebacking core, and the secondary. There's returners at each of those. And it's kind of like, hey, who's going to be that final piece of the puzzle? And that's where, you look at the DL battle. Who's going to be the 4th guy in that spot? Having CJ Bazile, who's going to fill in that TJ Bush? Who's going to be that 4th spot? So that's what it's a good piece. It's not like there's an entire position group that's like, well, I don't know, it could be any of these guys. It really seems to be, hey, looking for that final piece of the puzzle, which I think is a great feeling to have. It kind of goes along with that depth piece, which has been that key word, I think, throughout that, as we've seen in press conferences and players, is that depth. So where do we want to go? D-line, work ourselves back? Well, I think that's a good.
Yeah, we can do that. We can jump into the D-line. I think, also too is like, just looking at the number of guys, like we're kind of talking about with the depth that I think have a chance to be impact players. And you talked about it, Richie. You hit it perfectly. There is at least one returning starter at every position group: safety, corner, linebacker, and a defensive line. And I think defensive line is probably the biggest maybe mystery. I don't know if question mark's the right terminology, but maybe the biggest mystery, with a lot of new names, a lot of new faces that we're going to be counting on. We obviously, kind of got hit hard at that position in the spring transfer portal, losing a TJ Bush and a couple others. But what do we know? So you got that joker position that's like your edge / linebacker, which is, anchored by CJ Bazile. I've also heard really good things about Brenton Williams, who's the second guy up there. I think that's going to be more of a 1A, 1B type guy, and you may not miss a step. You may even improve a step with your 1B guy in. So as long as those two guys stay healthy, I think you'll see them rotating a fair number of reps, even number of reps at that position. So I think you're good there. Then you move to the other 3 defensive line spots, and you have to start with Bryce Dixon. He's kind of the returning starter. He was a former Hugh Freeze recruit, and Freeze, I remember he was really high on him as he was coming in as a freshman, and that's kind of carried over. And then it's a lot of question marks or unknowns at the rest of those spots. You got a guy like Aaron Hester, a defensive line transfer from Florida State, who played there last year. You got a couple of freshmen that D-line coach Skylar McGee mentioned will probably play this year: Sam Cohen, Cam Cullins. You've also got some other transfers, a DJ Jackson from NC State, a Marcus Clark from App State. You also got the kid that transferred from Wisconsin last year. Name slipping my mind.
He's from Jersey.
He's from Jersey. What's his name, Richie? You got it?
I just know he went to having Shawnee.
Yeah,
I know we were at high school.
Wisconsin transfer on the D line. He's going to be in that 2 deep on the interior of the line. So you got a lot of names. Donovan Dozier is a guy that's been around for a little while that he's probably going to work his way up into the rotation. So it's going to be defensive line coach Skylar McGee met with the media earlier today, so I had a chance to talk to him, and you can go back and watch his press conference where he rattles off about 8 guys. Joe Strickland, a defensive line transfer from Purdue. He's another guy to watch out for. There's going to be a lot of guys, a lot of new names. Coach Skylar McGee also talked about how, there's going to be a lot of rotating of pieces, not going to have, one guy that's playing 75 snaps a game, which we've had the last couple of years. So I'm really intrigued when we line up for game 1 against Maine in a couple of weeks. Who is the first 4 that we tried out there, and then who's the second 4? Because I think you'll see them rotate free at practice that I've seen so far. It's hard to say this group is the 1s, this group is the 2s, because they just are constantly rotating guys in and out.
I think the other thing, just to, again, kind of talk about maybe what is the theme of the night with the defense is the depth. And with linebacker and safety, or defensive back, which we'll get to in a couple of minutes here, we know more of those names. And with that, we're like, okay, yeah, we have depth. At defensive line, there's more question marks there. And it's, hey, who's going to be replacing the guys that were there before? Who's going to be replacing a TJ Bush? That doesn't mean, though, that we don't have depth at this position. We brought in enough guys that even though we might not know a ton about them yet, know what they'll look like, we could turn around 6 weeks into the season and say this is actually one of the deepest position groups on the roster, and that's just the nature of the transfer portal. So hearing what you're saying about a lot of these guys, and John, and just naming name after name, I know it's just impressive, one, that this many guys, but two, I really do think hearing where these guys are coming from, the pedigrees that they have, it really is exciting what this D line could be, even though we're replacing guys that were the household names before.
I just want to butt in and say it's Mike Jarvis, defensive line. He may be our starting defensive tackle alongside Bryce Dixon to start the season out. But Mike Jarvis is that other guy I was thinking of. Jersey Strong.
Jersey Strong. I saw that in the chat. Represent. So definitely D-line. And like we said, the defense has kind of been an underrated part of the Liberty teams the last couple of years, which, as we said to start, was kind of not what you expect with a Chadwell-led team. And, he's an offensive guy, all of that stuff. But D-line, I think we see a little bit similar makeup when we get to the linebackers. We move it back, and then we have Joe Carter coming back, obviously a big piece of that. But there's a name that keeps coming up. App State transfer, joined late in the spring. I'm going to pull it up so I don't say it wrong. Darrell Farrar. Sorry, Darrell. So that's the name we keep coming up. So, John, tell us a little about him. Tell us a little about the linebackers and what can we expect to see as we kind of go to the back half of camp.
Yeah, it starts and ends with Joe Carter. I mean, this is a guy, a former walk-on that's grown into not just a really good player, but also a really good teammate and a really good leader. The coaches have talked about him being another coach on the field. He's constantly getting guys in the right place, making sure they recognizing different keys that the offense is showing them. So he's a key there. Joe Carter, very smart player, leading tackler last year. And so obviously the leading returning tackler as well this year. But yeah, Joe Carter all starts and ends there. Aiden Vaughn's another guy. He's a guy that I feel like Darrell Farrar is really pushing hard in camp to take his starting spot. But from everything I'm hearing, Aiden's not letting him have it. So that's really good to hear. Vaughn is another kid that transferred from a P4 school a year ago. He was injured a little bit last year, didn't play a ton, was a little bit of a special teams guy when he did play. But, Coach Chadwell said that if he was healthy all spring, he'd be a guy that we'd be talking about nonstop. So you got Joe Carter and Aiden Vaughn are kind of running with the first team. And typically our base package is a 4-2-5. So you got 2 linebackers. Every now and then you'll roll out a third. But, Jarrell Farrar is probably that third guy. He's a guy that I think has that next level that could be potentially a havoc type player on the perimeter, coming off the perimeter and getting to the backfield and making plays, and also being able to drop back in coverage and being a guy that can, run to the ball and make tackles. But those are kind of your 3 leading guys in that room. Then you've also got 3 other transfers right behind them. Ethan Crispa, a guy from Vanderbilt who was here last year, similar to Aiden Vaughn. He played a little bit more than Vaughn did last year. And then you've also got those 2 transfers who were teammates at Michigan, won a national championship there together, and one transferred to Florida and before they reunited here, and Micah Pollard and Deuce Spurlock. So when you got guys that were that heavily recruited that you're 4th and 5th down on the depth chart as of today, obviously this can change. That just goes to say, again, CT, you said it, we're going to talk about the depth all night when we're talking about the defense, but I think the linebacker room is probably the deepest on this defense and has the potential to be the best position group on the defense, which that's kind of alarming and shocking to say when you remember where we were a couple years ago at this group, at this position.
John, and again, you hit on so much there. I think there's a couple things, just a couple notable things that I feel like. One, as you said, Joe Carter, absolutely, he's the leader of the defense, quarterback of the defense. Micah Pollard might be lower on the depth chart, but you mentioned he's one of the 2 Michigan guys. And more than just being on the national championship team, I know Pollard for sure, he had stats in the national championship game. So that's, if nothing else, that is veteran experience at the highest level of college football, which is massive for this team. And then with Farrar as well, I know Vaughn, it seems like might be edging him out. It's not based on what you said. But I think everybody's right to be excited about him. And I think you had a quote even from maybe the linebacker coach at one point talking about Farrar and just saying like, he gets it on every level. Like he's mentally top of the game. He's got a pro mentality. And so even if it's depth, even if he's like the 3rd linebacker, that's huge. And that's incredible comment, JVP.
I've said for years, like, who would be our Connor Stallions? Like, not to take away from the defensive conversation.
Jeremiah Flincham.
It's Jerry.
100%.
But Jerry wouldn't realize he was doing it. Like, he'd be like, yeah, coach, they're holding up a sign that says this. It's great. But, like, you need to send someone like a Jay Dizzy who would be like, yep, I'm here to cheat. What do you need from me, coach? Like, Jerry would have no idea that he was actually cheating until he was just splashed. Like, he's like, Jerry, we got your sideline passes to go see Akron against Western Kentucky. Yeah, you just got to stand on the Akron sideline, Jerry. Yeah, not a problem. Yeah, could you just write down everything that they're doing? He's like, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, whatever you need, Mr. Corn. And then a scandal comes out. It's like, Liberty fan cheating. There's Jerry. Like, what? What did I didn't realize I was doing it? Which is, I think, what you need in that situation. As opponent's like, yeah, I did it. I know I was cheating. You can't throw Jerry in jail. You can't. Sidetrack. We needed to go there, though. John, tell us a little about, we have Skylar McGee. He's been to DC now for a couple of years. Talk about a scheme. What scheme does he run? Is it something consistent? Is it flex? I think with college football these days, teams are throwing a bunch of different defensive fronts out there. Talk a little about that before we start to swing over to the secondaries.
Yeah, Skylar McGee came over from Coastal with Coach Chadwell and some of the other staff, and defensive line coach. He's kind of the co-DC with Kyle Krantz, which Krantz used to also coach the special teams, but now he's focusing full-time on the defense and the secondary and also co-DC. So you also got Teddy Gallagher, former Coastal Carolina player who's kind of stepped into a role as like the coach of the Jokers. So you got a couple, I guess you can call them additional staff pieces for the defense this year. Like I said earlier, kind of based out of a 4-2-5. You typically have 4 down linemen with 2 linebackers and 3 safeties and then the 2 corners. But you got a couple of guys, and you see this kind of common now in college football is you got to be able to be multiple. You can play with 3 down linemen, you can play with 4, and you got a couple of like hybrid positions. So you got that joker position I was talking about that's a hybrid defensive end / linebacker, and then you got that safety who's kind of like a nickel / a safety / a linebacker. So you got a couple of different things, so you can show multiple different looks with the same personnel. So that's something that we've seen some from this coaching staff. And, let's be honest, like I think this defense has kind of struggled a little bit, certainly at times the last couple of years in getting key stops, and giving up a lot of points and a lot of yards. So, saying that we may have to rely on this defense, especially in the first month of the season, while the offense is kind of figuring out where all the pieces fit and getting that experience that's needed. It can be a little nerve wracking and scary even to think that we have to rely on them. But I hope that at the end of this podcast that we all feel confident that we have the pieces. Again, they have to go and get the job done, right? Like, I mean, it's one thing to say you played at Purdue or NC State or Florida State or wherever you're coming from or App State, but you still got to get the job done. You got to fit in with the rest of the team. So it'll be interesting to see. I'm excited about this defense and hopeful that they'll be one of the best units we've seen at the FBS level.
And that's the confidence you want. You want, CT mentioned before, a guy played the national championship game. I have the utmost confidence that, if we're in a tight game on the road against Jacksonville State, that we're going to be all right. I don't know if we play Jacksonville State home or away, but I'm just rolling with it.
It is a week 2.
Do I know what I'm talking? That's early. I know what I'm talking about. This is crazy. I got the glasses on. I studied more for this podcast tonight than I did for all of Evan 110 or whatever that class was they made me take.
Do you want to, Richie, if you studied so much, you want to take the defensive backs for us?
No. I don't. I saw that there was someone that was hurt and came back. He was sick and he came back. Where's his name? Hold on.
Christian
Bedner. Back. But I don't want to bury the lead. That leads us to the secondaries. The secondary. Made up safeties, corners. Obviously, Brylan Green, 4-year starter?
Yeah.
Gosh, I'm old. I can't
He's
believe
a senior already?
He's a senior.
That's unreal. That's
crazy.
Insane.
That's lunacy. Like, I remember he was a freshman baseball player. Like, that's nuts. But obviously, again, another position where we have the anchor and then still seeing, all right, have some pieces with who's going to complete that puzzle. So, already mentioned a couple names. What are we looking for?
Yeah, I think at safety, I texted you guys when I wrote that position preview, which will come out later this week. Like, wow, this room is stacked. And I talked about how deep and how good that linebacker room looks. I think the safety room is rivaling them. How do you say that word? Is on par with them as far as just how good and how deep they can be. I mean, you start with Brylan Green, like you mentioned. I mean, he was an All-American, not a freshman All-American. He was an All-American during his 2023 season. I think he had 5 interceptions, near the tops in the country. Then you also got a Corey Jones. And Corey Jones is a guy who's kind of under the radar. He's kind of played in Brylan's shadow. They came in as far as the same recruiting class. He played as a true freshman. He actually played more as a true freshman than Brylan did. And he's been a solid player, a multi-year starter there in the secondary. So there's kind of your top 2. Then you mentioned Bodner, which, if you remember last year, those first, 4 or 5 games he played in before he got kind of a frightening health scare with that illness where he couldn't walk and was in the hospital for about a week. He was coming into one of our most electric playmakers in the secondary. He had that strip sack in overtime against FIU. Do you remember that game where we went to overtime against the fighting Mike McIntyres? And it was Bodner that won the game with his strip sack to end the game, and we won. And that was the last game he played last season. So he's back to full strength, and that's the 3-headed monster there. Now, Bodner can play. He can slide out. We'll talk about the corners in a minute. He can slide out and play corner. as well. And I think you'll see him out there. He would be one of our top cover corners if he was 100% at corner. But I think you'll see him in that kind of like hybrid nickel / safety / linebacker spot. So that's a heavy hitting top three. And then you got a couple guys behind them, like an Eli August, a former walk-on, who's he was a special team standout for us, and now he's moved into that group.
He caught the punt, right, John? Not to cut you off. He caught the punt for the scholarship, right?
Yeah, he did. Was that last training camp? I think it was, or
I
last
think so,
spring? Yeah, good memory. But yeah, that's Eli August, and then you've also got an Eldrick Griffin, JUCO transfer who played last year some, and we lose Quentin Reese out of this group, but that's a lot of leadership to lose. But those guys I mentioned, Brylan, Corey Jones, those are 4-year guys. This is his 3rd year in the program, 2nd year playing. Eldrick Griffin is another guy who's, a 4-year guy, 2nd year at Liberty. Eli August is a 4th year guy. So a lot of veteran leadership and talented guys at safety.
I think the biggest thing, taking a step away from the players for a second, and absolutely shout out to Brylan. I think a lot of us figured, especially off of that season 2 years ago, that, hey, he might be going Power 4. And if so, all power to him. But he stuck around here, and we are thrilled to have him for, as Rich and I learned, his senior season.
Can I just share this while we're talking about that?
Mm-hmm.
I agree with you, CT. I don't know if I'm even allowed to say this, but I'm going to say it anyways and ask for forgiveness later. After we played Oregon that game, I heard there was Oregon coaches that were trying to get Brylan to go into the portal to transfer to the Ducks, and would have probably dropped him a bag, but Brylan chose not to, chose to stay here, and he's going to finish his career as a Liberty Flame. You don't see that very often.
No, you don't.
No.
And it's very easy to point and look, and I'm not knocking, I'm not going to say any names, but you go, hey, this person's here, that person's there. But there are players on this roster that have been here for 4 years, that have given so much to this program, and it's very easy to get caught up and go like, I hate college football the way this is now. But there are players that are here and committed to Liberty. They're committed to the team. They're committed to the mission of this university. And I like to be able to kind of take a moment and recognize that, to have a 4-year senior anywhere in college athletics these days is crazy. So to have that is something to celebrate. To have a couple people on that defense, I think is a great piece. Now, the one thing I wanted to mention real quick. Sorry, CT.
No, I was just going to say the biggest thing I think with the defensive backs is we saw 2 years ago, and obviously it's a full team defense, but talking about this one stat, it's mostly related to defensive backs. And we're going to talk about interceptions.
100%.
2 years ago on that Fiesta Bowl team, we, correct me if I'm wrong, led the nation in interceptions that season. Last year, I looked, we were 94th in the country in interceptions. Massive difference. Decent amount of the same players. I mean, at least some. So if we can just get back to, top 30, top 40, doesn't even have to be number 1 in the nation, but if we can get back to just decently in the middle, that could be huge for the rest of the defense. So if they can get back to just what I would say is average for them with their depth, I think it would be really helpful.
A huge difference in turnovers. And I know with football, turnover luck is a very real. Like, certain things go your way. You need a quarterback to sometimes make a bad throw to get an interception. You need a couple things to break your way. But I feel like coming off of the Joker mask, everyone was like, it's going to be the year of the Joker mask. And then we're like, where's the Joker mask? Like, where are we at with this? So do we know, John, is the Joker mask back?
It's back.
It's back. I love that. I think we need another go at it.
How about the belt, the C red belt? Do we know status of that?
Our good friend Jerry still has it and has not turned it in.
A little birdie told me Jerry doesn't know where the belt is. So,
well, at least we still have the Joker mask then.
1 out of 2 is not bad. Before we jump into scheduling, can I just take a moment to say that, we all have some great gear on, and we're getting to that point where we're less than 3 weeks away from Liberty's home opener. And I'm of the belief that unless you are getting married, the most important outfit that you have is your week 1 opening day. What are you wearing to Williams Stadium? And John, where's the best place to get some Liberty branded gear?
I may be biased, but ASORstore.com. Go over there and check out some of our gear. We got some new stuff just dropped this summer, so be sure to check it out. Our all-time best-selling shirt is the one Dot Richardson wore back in her super regional appearance in Oregon. That one's out there. Go Flames, go God. It's in a couple different colors as well too. So go out there and browse. I promise my kids I'll be getting them at least one shirt before the season starts, and I'll be getting it from ASORstore.com. So go check it out.
It must have just edged out the Richie Longshots shirt.
Yes, that was number 2. That was number 2. There is. That's not a joke. There is a Richie Longshot shirt on the store.
Yes, so. and they have been bought by at least 2 people.
So if somebody is watching this tonight, you go out and purchase one, you will double our orders for that shirt.
Yes, thank you in advance. But talked a lot about the defense. We kind of hinted towards a little bit of camp. Now, I'm not there. I'm up in New Jersey. CT's not there. John, you're the guy. You are of the few, proud the many that are on the ground. You're in the loop. And there's a lot of questions this year. A lot of the same question. We've got some questions online. Tell us a little bit about camp. We're 2 weeks since we last chatted. What's the vibe? What are you seeing?
It's great vibes, but I think we have a special guest tonight.
Oh, we're bringing the special guest in now?
I think we're ready to bring in our special guest when he's ready.
If the special guest is ready, we're going to table the camp conversation. So we're going to introduce a special guest. Now, if you've never met this man, you are missing out. I could safely say that Dennis Fields is genuinely one of the nicest people I've ever met. He is a God-centered, family-focused, Liberty athletics fanatic. If you've ever had the opportunity to watch a game with him, you will be shocked that he's never received a technical foul or a penalty from the refs. It's a good thing you can't hear him up in the cabana and the suite, because he will give the referees everything that they deserve, whether he's at the stadium or he is sitting on his couch watching from home. But to sum it up, he's just a genuinely amazing dude, and we are so glad to have Mr. Dennis Fields joining us this Monday night.
Thank you, Richie, and the check's in the mail, brother.
Thank you.
Hey, Dennis, thanks for joining us. What are some things that you're most looking forward to with this Liberty football team this coming season?
Well, having been watching them, have been to a couple of practices, I'm really excited about this team. I see the camaraderie that was not there last year. These guys, they seem to love each other. They're playing as a team. They're playing for each other. The interviews you see, and you've been a part of many of those. They talk back and forth how much they appreciate their brother on the other side of the ball. So that's a good thing. And we've even observed them in practice congratulating each other. And I think there was an interception. And I can't remember which quarterback it was, but went over and congratulated the safety that made the play. I mean, hey, it was a good play. That's not heard of in any level of football, because we're usually, if we throw an interception, we're very upset with ourselves and who caught it. But no, I think the spirit of the team is totally different than it was last year. You guys were talking, we have a lot of returners, and in part of what we've been able to do this year, we've been able to sit down with many of the players, most of the players, and they understand what was the problem last year in the locker room, and we've encouraged them, make sure that's right, take care of family, and everything will take care of itself on the field.
So, Dennis, tell us a little bit about, we wanted to have you on, talk about little NIL, Flames Rising. For those of you watching, you're probably very familiar with Flames Rising. And Dennis was a guy kind of behind the scenes making it all happen. So Dennis, tell us a little bit about what it's been like the last, what was it, 2 or 3 years, 4 years, working with the Liberty athletes and, helping them through Flames Rising. Just what was that experience like for you?
I tell you honestly, it's been one of the greatest experience as a Flames fan that I've ever had to experience, ever gotten to experience. And we're all just crazy fanatics, and that's what draws all of us together. But being able to do this and actually see tangible evidence of your efforts that's been one of the greatest things. One of the most important things for me is just the friendships that we have made with each other and pulling in this direction to make this happen. And when NIL started, it didn't take it long to get a nasty name. And we as Liberty fans, we know we kind of march to a higher calling, and we're reminded that Dr. Falwell, Jerry Falwell Sr. said that if it's Christian, it ought to be better. I like what President Costin has said. If it's Christian, it ought to be Christian. And so everything that we've done through the NIL space has had that as our motto, to keep everything above board and make sure that, what we did represented not only Liberty well, but represented the Lord. And I think we've been able to do that. I mean, of course, there's a lot of folks that have contributed. Chad has been our face man and our go-getter and our, what we call him, the NIL hunter. And so he's did an incredible job. And we did what we were asked to do, and we were glad to do it. And it's really neat to sit back. We got an email from Ian, just showing us some of the things that have happened in these past seasons, and especially last season. And he's just saying, this was made possible because of your efforts, and that means a lot. And now that it's moving on to a different, probably better way. Maybe this is where it is now, should have been where it started before. But as it moves forward, I mean, we're still fans. We'll still support them, and we'll still do what we need to do to fill up those excellent funds, so that the players can still get compensated for their name, image, and likeness, but just through the university, which takes the pressure off of us.
Dennis, did you want to maybe chime in a little bit more? Like, we saw the message from the Flames Club talking about how, they're kind of bringing the NIL operations in-house, and with this internal NIL or revenue sharing, we're seeing that happen a lot across the country, and Liberty's, no different, kind of, taking the lead from Ian McCall, the AD, and his staff. What does that mean for you? What does that mean for Flames Rising? How does that change things for you moving forward?
Well, I've been a Flames Club member for a long time. I mean, probably a decade or longer. And so I'll continue to do that. I'll just, the efforts I put into Flames Rising will now go to the Flames Club and to the Excellence Funds. And Mike Hagan has put together a good staff to take care of this moving forward. I mean, he's putting a lot of things in place to make sure that happens. And honestly, I really think this will give donors more comfort and confidence in their giving. Not to say that we had a bad reputation or anything. The NIL itself scares people, and now that it's the schools doing this, it's a donation is given to the school, and that's it's able to be distributed to the players for their name, image, and likeness by the separate sports. I think it's better. I think it's something that the fans can get involved in and really just make an impact. I think it's best. It really should have started this way. With a lot more control and a lot more, just integrity to begin with. And I think people would probably feel better about it than just the Wild West that was created 3 years ago.
That's a great way to put it, the Wild West. And
yeah.
The way
Go ahead.
The way the kind of system works now, and Dennis, stop me if I'm wrong, there's multiple ways athletes are going to be able to get compensated through revenue share. The NCAA said, hey, schools are now able to take $20.5 million, I forget what the exact number is, and put that towards, split that up. Football gets X amount, basketball, baseball, the Olympic sports, and so on. And then there's those NIL opportunities, and that's what the goal of it is, that true NIL, where, hey, I own a business and I would like Brylan Green to star in a commercial, or I would like Vaughn Blue to make an Instagram post for my company. So two ways, but that donating to that NIL piece through Flames Rising is an opportunity to help the coaches as well. Things come up, and I don't short yourself, Dennis. You say you got that email from me, and I think it's important to put a name on the things that happened in the Flames Rising era. And that's a Fiesta Bowl. That's a trip to the NCAA tournament that, those transfer portal players did not just come for free. I want that on the record.
Super regional.
Super regional softball team. So I think it's important to put a name on its accomplishments. And, I may be biased, and there's a lot of people that I handed it, but thank you.
No. And listen, the Ian and on down have been very, just very thankful for what we've been able to do, because they couldn't do what they're doing now. And we had to do that for them. And they've been very supportive throughout the whole process. And the revenue share is part of it. The NIL individual business to player is still available, but that's handled through the school and through the different channels now. But another way is, if you want to contribute to the excellence funds for any of the sports, all the sports have them set up, and you can go to the Flames Club website, and then you just go down and pick which sports you want to support, and then you click on it and make your donation, and it's tax deductible, just like any other contribution that you make to the Flames Club.
And one more thing we probably should add, just because this has gone in-house doesn't mean anybody listening, watching, following along the Flames, that means, oh, I'm good. The school's got it all under control. I can go sit on the bench and not worry about it anymore. No, we still need to, you can look at all the things that says, how much, we're putting into athletics and all this sort of things, but we're still not at the level we want to be, right? We all want to be at a better conference, or, a P4 conference, or, whatever conference you want to be in. Well, how do you get there? The best way is to support the school through the Flames Club and through NIL opportunities, because that's really, I felt like these past few years through Flames Rising, that was the biggest way your dollar could impact the team and their product on the field and court and, whatnot. But, that doesn't change now. So, we still, I think through this Flames Rising endeavor, I think we all learned that, one thing that's special about Liberty is everybody's kind of pulling in the same direction. And hopefully that continues to happen. We all need each other. There's power in numbers. Conferences look at that. They look at your number of season ticket numbers that you sell, the number of members in your Flames Club or your Flames Club type organization, the number of dollars that's being going to that. They're also looking at how big is your NIL budget, how big is your athletic budget. All that ties into it. So the more that we can kind of get behind this athletic program, if you're a true Liberty fan, you got to jump on board. And I'm not saying I'm probably preaching to the choir, right? Like most anybody that's been in there Tuesday night or Monday night here listening to the See Red podcast, you're probably all on board already. So we just wanted to make sure that that kind of got got mentioned as well too.
Yeah, and as Richie was saying, they're allowed $20.5 million as like a cap that the school can take from the revenue and share it. Not that's your P4 schools are doing that. Where we play, we're probably 30%. Liberty's probably doing around 30% of that cap, but we're on the rise, and so that needs to go up. And just like you were saying, when we're looking, other conferences are looking at us, and if we're looking to move up, these are things that they want to see how involved their fans are our fans are in putting it out there and really pushing the school forward through the revenue share.
Yeah. And thanks again for joining us tonight, Dennis. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like one thing to maybe wrap it up a little bit, but I think we all sitting here tonight say we are confident that we're going to see more Fiesta Bowl appearances, more March Madness appearances, more Super Regional appearances, so on and so forth. I think that's absolutely true. Along with, hey, we want to get to, an American conference, a Power 4 conference one day. Who knows? At the same time, there's still, as John was alluding to, a lot more room to grow. I mean, if you even look at, I think some of the numbers, if you look at them between, like our club, donor club versus, like a JMU's or something, like there is a distinct difference currently. So what would be your message to fans that might not be currently on board supporting to really maybe just try to rally them in terms of bringing forth their dollars to Liberty Athletics as well?
I would say join the Flames Club and contribute at the highest level you're able to do so. But get in. I think you can join as little as $60 a year. Certainly that helps. But if you can go to another level as well, that makes a huge difference. And you're right. Looking at the Booster Club, just comparing us to JMU, we're about half of their Booster Club. And we want to compete with them. Well, let's fans get out there and make it more competitive. No, that's where we need to really focus, is getting more members into the Flames Club, so that we can have those numbers and we get more of our fans involved and invested. It's probably a better way to look at it, as an investment. Because that's what we've been doing, is investing in our players, investing in the program, and we've got the receipts for it. We've seen what those investments can do.
100%. And Dennis, thank you for taking the time to join us. You're always welcome anytime you want to hop on. And I'm excited that you get to enjoy the home games now without having to worry about a tailgate.
Yes.
I've seen you on the phone with Chick-fil-A. Like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
I've seen the stress that goes into it. So I'm excited that you and your entire family get to relax.
We're going to miss it, but we're going to enjoy not doing it for a little bit.
Yeah, 100%.
It was a lot of fun.
Anyone that's got a tailgate, I'm looking for week 1. Tweet me.
There you go. That's it.
But Dennis, thank you again, anytime, and thanks for all that you've done for Liberty and Liberty Athletics.
I guess we'll see you guys in 2 weeks.
Can't wait.
See you then.
All right. Thank you. See you guys.
No, I know I buried the lead. Sorry, John.
No, I was just wanted to say, I got to meet Dennis first time was at the first Cure Bowl, and it's been a privilege and an honor to get to know him and to call him a friend, and what he did for Flames Rising, what he does to support the Liberty Flames is just unmatched. And he doesn't do it for any recognition or any fame or anything like that. He's a true Liberty fan and a true friend, and he's a great guy. And I know both of you guys would say the same thing, and anybody that's gotten to know Dennis would say the same thing. And I look forward to seeing you back in Lynchburg soon, Dennis. You're the man.
Truly a Liberty legend, without a doubt. Now, I know I buried the lead. I thought Dennis was coming on later. I didn't time it well. That's on me. I spent too much time
it's still the
studying.
preseason.
It's still the preseason. I spent too much time researching Liberty players and where they transferred from that I didn't read the texts or the show notes or anything like that. But such is life. It could have been worse. Camp. We're halfway through camp. People have questions. A lot of the questions are the same. Who's going to be the quarterback? I don't know. We won't know. I'm assuming you don't have an answer. You're not going to break any news for us tonight, John?
No. Now we will hear from Coach Chadwell on Tuesday afternoon. That's his next press conference. If you'll remember, and I'm sure those of you that have been paying attention, this past Saturday was the first scrimmage that the teams had in camp. It was the 9th practice so far, and he said at that point in time the team would, instead of kind of equally splitting the reps between 5, it'd go down to 2 or 3. So I'll be interested to see if he gives an answer as to who those 2 or 3 are, and if that's still the plan, if there's been any change in the last, week or so since we've last talked to him. So I'm interested to see and hear from him. I don't know. Nothing's really changed from what I've said previously on the podcast or elsewhere the last few weeks. I think it's Vasco's job to lose, but we'll see. You never know when you get out there and there's live bullets flying, like what's going to happen. So I'm interested to kind of see what Coach Chadwell says Tuesday. So make sure you're checking that out. Of course, I'll be there tweeting it and writing about it and all that stuff. So what about you guys? You've heard what I've said about the quarterback battle. Are there any guys that you're kind of, other than Vasco, that you're intrigued by or want to know more about, or are hoping that's part of that final 2 or 3 that's going to be in the mix?
Well, I did see that Merdinger video that Liberty Football tweeted today, him just dropping that ball right in that Caleb Williams net. That got me a little flustered. I'm on year 5 of my NCAA college football dynasty, and Ethan Houck is the starting quarterback at Ohio State and the Heisman Trophy frontrunner. So I'm just gonna leave it at that. Merdinger and the future Ohio State Heisman Trophy winner, Ethan Houck.
Wow, that's impressive.
It is. But yeah, Merdinger, obviously, he's coming from North Carolina, and he's got that size. He's got the makeup. We'll see what that looks like. Again, no game experience. I think that's what Vasco has, that advantage of. He's done it at a high level before, while Merdinger's just had some time in a bowl game that UNC didn't really care about.
You hating on the Fenway Bowl?
Yes, I hate Boston. Yes, I'll hate on the Fenway Bowl.
Classic New Jersey.
I'm a pinstripe bowl guy, not Fenway Bowl guy.
Yeah. I would think it'd be Vasco, but I mean, again, we don't know. There's a lot to be seen, as Coach Chadwell has mentioned, John, as you mentioned. So it's exciting to see what's going to happen. I don't really have much more to add. I don't know what I was trying to say more. So let's just move on.
Running back. That's another position we talked about. Who's going to be the guy? What is that seen so far through camp?
Yeah, we can talk about that after we do that. CT, I think we got a few questions in. Did you want to run through those when we get done with one of the questions was on running back. I had a question specifically about Jalen Coleman, which we actually heard from running back coach Newland Isaac earlier today. So he actually mentioned Jalen Coleman. Was a 4-star recruit, one of the highest rated guys in this last class. True freshman. He joined us just this summer. Was not here in the spring, but he said that Coleman is maybe the fastest guy on the team. He's probably faster than even Juju. But again, a true freshman, so I think he's got a little ways to go. Same thing with Malachi Fan and Renner, the other true freshman in the running back room. I think what you're going to end up seeing is Juju, Von Blue, and Caden Williams as kind of your top 3 backs. And I don't think any of us can say today who would be the leading rusher at the end of the season. It's probably going to be one of those 3. But I mean, I think it's one of those things you just get out there against Maine starting that game August 30th and see who's got the hot hand. And then you just ride it game to game, week to week and see what happens. But I would expect it to kind of be a little bit of a 3-headed monster to start the season. I think we will see Juju play in the slot some, play at wide receiver some as well too. So there could even potentially be 3 running backs on the field at one time. I think, that'll probably be unlikely and abnormal, but I think you'll see Juju in the slot some, at wide receiver some. And then Von Blue can play both the A and the B back. And then I think Caden Williams is really more of your power guy. That's what Newland Isaac said today. He's kind of the more of the bruiser, the guy between the tackles. Not that the others can't do it, but if it's 3rd and 1 and you've got to pick up that first down, your first option is going to be Caden Williams. So it'll be interesting to see kind of how that battle in that room shakes out. And again, I think that's one that we might not know who's going to be our leading rusher until midway through the season.
Probably going to fluctuate a little bit, just like one of those charts. We got questions from the audience, questions from the crowd. We're a podcast of the people. Hit us.
Let's go. We hit on the quarterback one, so I see another one from Kathy Hudson, the Queen. Asking about the defense. How does our physical size compare with the other Group of 5 and Power 4 teams?
That's a good question, and y'all are just looking at me to answer it.
I can fire up the video game, and I can tell you what the sizes are.
Yeah, I'm not sure that is a good question. I would this is not factual based. I don't have rosters in front of me of other teams, but I do think that we're at least in the ball game with other G5 teams. I would think we're probably one of the bigger teams on the defensive side of the ball from in Conference USA. I think we would be right in the mix there with the other top Sun Belt schools and Mountain West schools. I'm sure some of the lower P4 schools as well too. And you got to remember, when we were talking earlier about the different transfers, like we're brought in transfer from Florida State, Purdue, NC State, another App State guy, a couple of App State guys on the defense, Wisconsin. We got transfers, a lot of P4 guys. So, those guys had the size and skill to at least get recruited to play at that level. And then for whatever reasons, they've decided to transfer to here at Liberty. So I don't know. I don't have the facts and stats and numbers in front of me. I'd have to do some research on that. But I would think we're at least in the ball game with the top of the G5, just like we are pretty much in every other facet.
That was a good question.
Good to know. Yeah,
it is
a good question. Something to look for. It's one of those things you can look for each week.
The only other question that I know we don't have the answer to, also from Kathy, was do we know the uniform combo for game 1? So unfortunately not, unless John have inside info.
I don't know. Did you guys see the new navies that got released in the NCAA game? Thoughts?
I did. CT, you go first.
No, I like them. We are expecting it to happen at some point, and we're expecting them to match kind of the other ones released this past year. So I like them a lot. I think they look clean. I feel like every time my first instinct when I see one of them is like, it's bland. But then I take a second and I'm like, oh, no, I like this. This works really well. It's clean. So I'm happy with it. I'm glad that we have kind of the full matching set now. I would love a light blue helmet, but that's a side quest.
I loved it. You said it perfectly. It's clean. You look at one of the most iconic uniforms in college football. It's just the Notre Dame. It's just the Texas, Alabama, just bland. Look at the NFL, the Raiders, bland. Just those classic. I might be biased, but just hold on. What did JVP say? I'm fine. I'm not doing any more research now. I'm going to fly off the cusp. I'm going to stop drinking water during the podcast. Everyone's acting like I'm not really me. Pretty DM'd me. He's like, you look great. I'm like, I got to stop this.
You're getting ready to be a father. That's what's going on.
Yeah, I got kicked out of the nursery tonight. Just debacle. I don't know, jerseys. I like them. Some people hated them. What do you want us to be? Oregon? No.
Well, one thing that
I was just going to say, considering they're new jerseys, you would think Richie would love them, but
New Jersey ding.
That was good.
One of the things that I've noticed just from playing with Liberty in the NCAA game with the new uniforms is, yes, they are a little bland or plain, but and I think because of that, like when you're all blue or all white or all red, I don't like it as much as I did previously. But I think if you like mix and match the colors, they start to kind of complement each other very well. So like if you go a blue, white, blue, or red, white, blue, or whatever it is, I think it looks, it looks sharp. It looks good. But I think just all blue or all white or all red, it's maybe not quite has that pop. That's my own personal opinion. But yeah, that's my thoughts on the jersey. I did see CT the one of the questions we got about the quarterback, and we can kind of go around the horn on this one.
Yeah,
and then I think it's a good question. Should we be concerned that there is still no obvious QB1 for this team, especially since game one is less than 3 weeks away? What do you guys think about that one?
I haven't been concerned about anything since like 2010. We didn't have a quarterback when it was the year we went to the Fiesta Bowl. No one knew who the quarterback was going to be. So I'm not overly worried. I don't think, like you said, we're not going to play the quarterback carousel game, but no, not concerned. Not even worried.
If you ask Richie anytime, hey, who are you rooting for in the quarterback battle? Don't let him not give you an answer because he has an answer. But
I gotta say the name right. Hold on, Merdinger.
It's okay. You've been saying nicknames so much that you don't even need to.
I don't even know. But I couldn't tell you his first
name. There's still, again, coach speech. Who knows what's being said? I mean, it's training camp. Every coaching staff is going to do this to a degree. I wouldn't be concerned, ultimately. I think they have a concrete plan. Them not knowing who the quarterback is, I'm going to put that in quotes. I don't know what the situation is one way or the other, but them not knowing the quarterback shows that that is literally their plan, to go through training camp to make sure that they've evaluated everybody, that they've given everybody a chance, because we have a couple transfers in. We have Vasco, we have Merdinger, we have Jaden Bradford, who was hurt last year, who everybody, so much of the fan base is like, I want to get behind this guy. They can only be right to at least give him a chance during training camp. We have Ryan Berger, who was hurt, had multiple concussions. Like, let's give him a chance. So I think it's right for them to be taking this time to evaluate, but I do think it's all part of a plan. And so ultimately, I'm not concerned either.
Yeah, I agree that I'm not necessarily concerned that Chadwell hasn't come out and named a starter. For all we know, they've already named a starter internally or maybe within the coaching staff. And they're just keeping it to themselves and maybe not even telling the players yet. I mean, again, you've got almost 3 weeks until the season starts. There's no need to come out and name a starter. And even when they get to the point where they do name a starter, I wouldn't be shocked if he doesn't even tell us, he is Chadwell, doesn't tell the media until at least the press conference of game week. If not even, it just gets leaked out day of the first game. Like, there's really nothing in it. I mean, you see that in the NFL. Coaches just don't tip their hand to when they have quarterback battles and competitions. They just don't tell you. Even when somebody gets hurt, they don't tell you who's going to be starting or if he's healthy or whatnot. But I will say I'm not overly concerned in that regard. I will say there is part of me that is a little concerned just from us being unknown at the quarterback position, in addition to the unknowns at running back. Like if you had Quentin Cooley on this team, I wouldn't be at all concerned about the quarterback because I think we would figure it out, and we have enough talent there. We would figure it out. And until we did figure it out, we'd have Quentin Cooley to rely on. But because both of those are question marks or unknowns at this point in time, there is part of me that I'm concerned about, especially for the month of September. Like week 2 at Jack State's a huge game. Mm-hmm. I think we're better than Jack State. I'm glad we're playing them early in the season because they got a new coaching staff and a lot of new faces on that side too. So I think it comes at a good time. But it's not going to be an easy game. We're not just going to show up there and win. So I'm concerned slightly for that. Then you also got, like, I think we'll be okay at Bowling Green. They got a new coaching staff as well there too.
Eddie George.
Eddie George, yep.
Mm-hmm.
But JMU and then ODU there to end the month. Like, if we don't have the answers at quarterback and or running back, we're going to not have a very pretty record at the end of September. So I say that to say, like, most of me feels confident in that we're going to figure it out and the staff has the right answers and we're going to go undefeated, right? But there is part of me that has reservation because we have question marks at both of those positions. And like I said, I think we'll figure it out, but we could figure it out and we could be 3-2 at the end of September. We might end up 10-2, but there is part of me that has reservation about that. So I say that we'll see what happens. Hopefully the team comes out and shows that we have the right answers. Like I said, I'm confident in this coaching staff. I said it last time in the podcast is Coach Chadwell losing 4 games last year. That's an anomaly for him. He doesn't do that. So you don't think he's fired up to make sure that was an anomaly? I think he is, and I think they'll figure it out. So, but there is part of me that is slightly concerned because of that. Yeah,
and no coach is going to come out and just go like, "Yeah, our team's set. We don't need the final 2 weeks of camp. What do we know about?" So, like, you need to keep that open-ended. You need to keep that competition. You need to keep that conversation open. And it's college football. There's drama. You need a little bit of excitingness. No, the Clemson running back is not coming onto the team in 2025.
He
that
just
was
wants to know the
one.
truth. So thank you,
Tracy. Yeah. It is what it is. All right, gentlemen. Hour 6 in. Great show. Covered a lot. What's our schedule like? We're live next week? Kickoff next week?
No. What do we got? 2 weeks. So 2 weeks from tonight, we'll be back, right? We're going Monday night, that first week, main week. So Monday night, we'll be ready to go. We'll have our full show. We'll have our ads and our sponsors and
probably some guests,
and some special segments. And our weekly show will be back. These past 2 were just kind of like breaking the ice. Let's get back and talk and get back in the routine of having this thing. And so we'll be more formalized and button up. And although Richie, I will tip my hat to you. You were very well prepared tonight and you did a great job. I don't care what the comments said. If you bring that game each and every week this season, this will be the best season of the podcast we've ever had.
I don't know. The year with the Fiesta Bowl was pretty awesome. I'm not going to lie. No, I don't know. I don't know. I'll see what I wear in 2 weeks. I don't know.
John, what else?
My name.
Sorry, Richie. Continue.
No, it's just Paul. Polo felt right today.
I love it. It looks good. It looks excellent on you. So keep it up. John, we're going to have the pod 2 weeks from now, Monday, as you said. And then pretty weekly after that, outside of, October kind of throws things off. But people are getting more and more excited about football as we're getting closer. So outside of the pod happening, where else can they be tuned in? What can they be looking for from ASOR Red?
Yeah, I mean, obviously check every day, ASORred.com. We got content there each and every day, new content every day. Obviously follow us, ASOR Red on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Make sure you subscribe to us, like us, follow us, whatever the case may be. Also, the podcast comes out on, SoundCloud and Apple Podcast and all that good stuff too. Spotify as well too. So get over there. Also, I don't really plug it a lot, but the ASOR Red Club, the Rumor Mill, make sure you get out there. I'll be having some updates there soon. I'll be having some weekly content each and every week there as well too. It's behind a paywall. Just some insider content and stuff like that. Also, CT, you and I will be having a special video this week, kind of breaking down the schedule more in detail, more in depth. That'll be coming out. The plan is for this Friday. I've been doing some of those weekly vlogs, if you want to call it that.
They're awesome.
Just kind of chatting about some thoughts I have each and every week. So I'll post those on YouTube and also on the website. So I plan to keep doing that throughout the season. Might have some guests, might have one of these fine gentlemen join me on occasion. So, check all that stuff out. And, I'm looking forward to it. It's an exciting time of the year. Looking forward to the season that we've got lined up for Sea Red and also to follow this team.
No one does it like a Sea of Red. No one does it like John Manson. And that is, I will call it a fact. It's not even an opinion. It's a fact. Gentlemen, great show as always. Thank you to everyone tuning in, everyone jumping in the comments. Stop texting me during the show, everyone. I looked out at my watch. My mother texted me. It was like, stop looking at your phone. Like, you just texted me, Mom. Like, I'm in high school all over again. So thanks for tuning in, whether you're checking it live or later on. Follow us on Twitter, Sea of Red Football Pod. And again, thank you so much for tuning in. On behalf of myself, John Manson, and CT, we'll see you in 2 weeks.